What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it for solo Act 3 Nightmare Guide. Now, by far, the first portion of Act 3 is going to be the hardest portion to solo inside of the entire campaign. Had quite a troublesome time getting through this. Very irritating. Essentially the first mission, we're going to have to speed run it. A lot of the problems deal with the fact that it's going to be a lot easier if you play with real players, utilizing the bots in some of these situations early on during the Act 3 campaign. They're not going to be as reliable as you'd like them to be, and slow pushing in that first mission especially is going to be a no-go. You could possibly try to do it, but every time that I did, pretty much just kept running into problem after problem where the bots just, if I could just ping them and tell them what to do, would have worked out perfectly, but obviously they're doing their own thing, not always as reliable as it needs to be. But past that first mission, we'll be able to utilize them quite properly. Few moments here and there we'll have to utilize that mobility in order to push forward, but I'll showcase that inside of the gameplay right after we get through with the deck. Now, we haven't gotten through the Act 2 or Act 3 second half just yet. We'll have that coming up tomorrow, so there will be a part 2 to this video, and if you'd like to check out that action live, we'll be streaming that over at Twitch. I'll have the link down in the description. Follow me up over there. But that being said, let's get straight into the deck. Obviously, if you'd like to copy and paste this, I'll have it listed down in the description below in order by name. We're starting off with Mad Dash. We're getting that 20% sprint speed. Going to be perfect for us in this first mission. And what's even better is we'll have the first 5 cards for the first mission. Going to be extremely helpful. Now, right after that, we've got Copper Scavenger, which is going to create more or spawn more piles of copper, as well as money grubbers, just to give us an additional amount to those copper piles that we'll be grabbing up. We're going to need this economy when it comes to, there's going to be 2 things that we're going to need to buy, and it's going to be an upgrade for the quick slot items. We need that barbed wire at least upgraded once. Past that, we don't need any more upgrades. As soon as you get at that 1 upgrade, all we're really going to need. But at the same time, once we get to that T5 mission, we're going to need more than enough copper to supply us with everything that we're going to need in order to complete that mission effectively. Now, the T5 mission is a bit easier now, but at the same time, we're doing this solo. Bots aren't the most reliable, more than likely going to die, so we're going to have to utilize everything that we can buy up before that mission. But right after that, we've got superior cardio, gaining stamina and sprint efficiency, along with a little bit of health and rhythmic breathing right after that, gaining an additional 40% stamina. Going to be everything that we need for the rest of the campaign right here when it comes to stamina, and everything we need in order to push on through that first mission. Now, right after that, we've got hyper focus. We're going to need that 50% weak spot damage. Now, the bots are auto turrets, but at the same time, we need to deal a little damage as well and clear out things fairly quickly. More than a few times, the spawn rate inside of that first portion of Act 3 felt a little bit wonky. It felt like every other minute I'm getting another special infected, so you're going to need that melting power when it comes to some of these special infected. Use those bots as meat shields. Let them kite that special infected and get that weak spot angle. You'll be taking care of everything fairly quickly with whatever weapon you'd like to utilize. Now, right after that, we've got Grenade Pouch. There's going to be more than a few moments, especially on the second or third mission, where could possibly run into some birds, possibly hit a door behind some fog. There'll be a ton of corruption cards straight off on the first mission, and from that point going forward, it just increases. So anything could happen in this moment. So dual pipe bombs is going to be very effective for us, as well as giving us the advantage when it comes to the T5 mission as well. Now, right after that, we've got NUMB. Every time we're popping those pain pills, getting that temporary health, and if you have that corruption card that gives you the vial in the air that slowly poisons you, every kill is going to give you that temporary health. This is going to give us more than enough damage resistance for what we need in order to push on through. But right after that, we've got silver bullets, just adding to our bullet damage and giving us that effective bullet range. Stalkers, hawkers, spitters, nightmares. Sometimes they're going to be a little bit off in the distance as well. A lot of wooded areas when it comes to the first portion of Act 3, and they could be off in those trees, a little bit off in the distance. You're going to need that effective bullet range, especially if you're using something like an SMG. Right after that, we've got cold brew coffee, getting that 15% reload speed, 25 to the aim speed, and 25 to use speed, and weapon swap speed, generally only using the primary weapon, but if you're using a secondary, that's going to be beneficial for you. Now, right after that, we got Fanny Pack, getting that support inventory up. That way we can carry 2 of the pain pills at the same time, gaining that buff for any moment that we've been taking some health, possibly get surrounded, be able to pop those pain pills, gain that damage buff, and have additional health going forward. Right after that, we've got Padded Suit, gaining a little bit more of that damage resistance, taking a hit to our stamina efficiency, but we've got more than enough stamina to deal with any of those moments we need to push back or reposition in any way. And right after that, we've got Shredder. Each bullet hit causes the target to take 1% increased damage for 3 seconds, stacking up to 15%. It's going to be perfect for your shotgun, your AR, or your SMG. It's going to give us that flat 15% stack. And right after that, Reload Drill's just giving us a little bit more of that reload speed. More than likely, you'll find some attachments as well. If you can find that golden one with the mag size and reload speed, going to be extremely beneficial for you. But right after that, to top it all off, we've got Energy Drink, getting that 15% stamina, a little bit more of that weapon swap speed, but move speed while firing and slow resistance is going to help us a lot, especially towards that final mission when it comes to taking out body dump, I believe, getting all of those different nodes done, and then finally taking that ogre down, moving through large portions of special infected and crowds of common infected as well. Now, that being said, that's going to be the solo Act 3 Nightmare deck, but let's get straight into the gameplay. We're going to need to give you those strats. Like I said before, this is going to be the part 1. We'll have the second half of Act 3 going on tomorrow. If you'd like to catch that live, hit the link in the description and follow me over at Twitch. We'll be streaming that up, and then we'll have the part 2 video coming tomorrow morning. Alright guys, so we're on the first mission. All we're going to need to buy up is going to be a toolkit, pain meds, and a pipe bomb. Essentially what we're going to do is just kind of speed run the first mission. It's always going to be a sleeper on your left right there. We're going to utilize all that mobility that we have right now. Hopefully you've got Holly on your team. It's going to give you a little bit more stamina, can be beneficial, but ideally you do not want Jim on your team. For whatever reason, Jim is an absolute worst bot. I swear I don't know what it is about him compared to the other bots, but he seems to run into every special infected and common infected horde and just stand there, not shooting. If he is shooting, he's not hitting target. Worst bot alive, man. If you can somehow just re-roll every time until you just don't get Jim, it'd be extremely beneficial for you. But that being said, with this mission, you'll kind of go slow at these certain points. You'll want to recoup your stamina before you jump in here. Go straight into the middle of the cornfield and then push left. You'll notice some hay bales in front of you. Sometimes there will be a snitch on that left side, so you may need to bounce a little bit to the right. You'll have to play it by ear. It's going to be random each time, but generally you'll be able to make it through. No worries at all. Now, the toolkit is not going to be for the toolkit room that's going to be up in this barn. We're going to completely bypass that, and I'll show you where we'll need to utilize it. Be sure to take out those sleepers, though. For whatever reason, bots have been running into sleepers fairly often recently. If you see any copper laying around, grab that up if you can. But by this point, we're going to throw the pipe bomb off to the right. We do have a hawker over there. Generally, this door is alarmed, and that's where we utilize this toolkit at. But this time, got a bit lucky. It's going to be some copper on your left. We'll grab that up as quick as possible. Get a little bit of that currency that we're going to need for later during this mission, since we're not exactly slowly pushing through here. By the time you reach this point, you could arguably stop right there, kind of loot the house, kill everything up, and then start pushing forward. But the amount of times I've had frustration with this mission already, I was just ready to keep moving on forward and just make it into that safe room and not have to worry about anything. Now, if you have birds right here, generally you'll be able to jump over to the right onto those rocks. Sadly enough, it instantly vaulted me over, hit the birds. But you'll be able to run all the way up. We've got enough stamina, and that's going to be the first mission. Easy peasy. But now let's get into the second one, where we can take it a bit slower and essentially gather as much copper as we need. Alright guys, the second mission, Blazing Trails, can be a bit irritating as well. Occasionally you will get the corruption card for an ogre or breaker. Haven't seen the hag just yet, but we do have fog on this map right now. But each time that I've run with this fog on the map, I haven't seen a hag. Lucky enough. Essentially, we'll be utilizing a bit of that mobility in the beginning, kind of skip our way all the way down to that bridge. What it'll do is pretty much leave all the common infected behind us and spawn a little bit less in front of us. If you do slowly clear through, you're going to come down here. There's going to be quite a few of common infected. You're going to basically slowly push into more and more, and then possible special infected coming on top of that. You kind of want to leave some behind. If you can avoid taking out some of those common infected, it's going to leave less in front of you as you push forward. But from this point, we'll kind of take it a little bit slow, but here and there we'll utilize that speed in order to kind of push over to the next area without taking out too much over here. Now, if you can kill those birds, it's going to be very helpful for you. You could get into that room. There's a bit of copper in there that could be helpful. But take out some of those special infected. You don't want them tagging behind you. Fairly easy to take some of them down, especially with that weak spot damage we have. And the bots are going to be absolute auto turrets in this moment. But at the same time, if you could find somebody else besides Jim, going to be extremely helpful for you. But from this point going forward, we'll just kind of skip through. Very simple, very easy. We'll just kind of move through the area, avoid some of the falling tree branches, and right up around the corner, I believe coming up right here, yes, there is a building on your right as soon as you're coming in. Sometimes this will have an alarm on it. Now, if it does have an alarm, sadly enough, there's going to be no common infected on the inside to actually break that door, so you will have to break it yourself. You can hold out inside of this building fairly easily, but at the same time, if you don't need a healing station, I wouldn't go for it. But if you do need a little bit of that healing, especially when it comes to possibly some trauma damage from the first mission, or if you've had to use a continue, took a little bit of trauma on this mission, this is going to be the perfect stop. I did end up getting a padded suit in that. Didn't grab it up just yet because I wanted that stamina efficiency. But you could get a different random card or possibly another basic card. A little bit of copper from this building right here can be extremely beneficial for you. Could be a nice little stop for you. But going forward, once we get to the next area after you've cleared some of the special infected and common that may be tagging after you, once we get inside of here, can't remember what exactly happened. I feel like, as soon as you get to this point, there's going to be a common infected, or there's going to be an incoming horde timer all the way up until you make it to the pool area where we'll have to hit the nodes. Can't remember if that was prior to the update or if it's just been added in to kind of take on speed runners or something, but you can utilize this bathroom right here to safely hold out against some of those hordes. Not always going to be as beneficial. As you'll notice, Jim just keeps running forward. He's not really shooting. It's pretty much Hoffman and Holly doing all the work. Never be able to understand what it is wrong with that Jim bot. But in this room, you'll be able to take it slow, clear everything out, and then move around. But if you have the sleeper card, one big thing to note, there's always going to be a sleeper right here, and on the opposite side of this building, there's another sleeper in the exact same type of corner, but on the opposite side. Take that out as quickly as you can. For whatever reason, multiple times when running this mission, the bots just ran into that sleeper, Hoffman especially, and I mean, that can be devastating to run right there. If you've already got one bot down, there's the sleeper right there, and he's getting chewed up and then calling a horde at the same time. That one man down can be extremely painful. It could pretty much fail the run, especially if you're not ready for it. You didn't know it was about to happen. Everything just starts piling on top of you. You haven't cleared everything out around this area. If you haven't already had a horde as well, can be extremely detrimental to that run. With that being said, you'll kind of want to look around, clear things out. Sometimes you'll find some copper on those jungle gems. Might be a good idea to check that out. Couldn't see that hawker inside of the fog. Hopefully you don't have spitters or hawkers. I'd almost prefer stalkers on this mission. Be a lot easier to deal with, and I could pretty much kite them into taking on one of the bots instead of trying to grab me. But it seems like the spitters and hawkers are an aim bot for anybody that just ADSs on them. It's quite unbelievable. Another one of those perfect moments to showcase that Jim just runs straight into special infected, gets himself down all the time. A man with a sniper, for whatever reason, runs straight into special infected. I don't know what's going on with the logic behind his code, but there's something broken with it. There's something very broken with it. But from this point going forward, we'll just kind of slowly take everything out. Especially if you have charred zombies, or more than likely there's going to be charred zombies no matter what on this mission. Once we make it to that charred forest, that's going to be the corruption card that's been added. You definitely don't want to have those getting anywhere close to you. You'll take quite a bit of damage from it. You'll notice it right there. Doesn't even need to be that close, just in the general vicinity, and especially if that guy gets close enough to start tagging you at the same time of applying that flame dot, it can be very devastating for you. With that being said, take out all the common infected that you can. Things might get a bit hairy. Like I said before, it felt like special infected in certain moments were just spawning at a increased rate. Another one of those moments is just boom, one after the other. They just keep coming out of the woodwork, and we've got 5 seconds till the next horde coming in. Immediately had to just push forward. Very frustrating moment. Because as soon as you make it to this area, that horde timer will completely disappear. Now, lucky enough for me, I was able to push forward, make it on in. Barely. But if you can keep your eye on that timer, and if you notice it's getting low, and you have one of those moments where that hawker or those wretches are possibly on you, just bum rush. That way you can cancel out that timer. You won't have that horde bearing down on you, possibly lose a ton of health from this instance as well, and have to pretty much clutch up while all the bots are down right here. And, you're just living on a hope that nothing just tags you for 10 damage or 9 damage right now. Unreal. But from this point going forward, we'll just kind of skip forward. I was able to kite that, get all the bots up, and lucky enough, since I threw that pipe bomb earlier, you want to take out all of the sleepers that you can from this. Take out any of the special infected. You don't want anything coming down with you as you go underneath this pool house and then work your way into the pool area. But since I threw that pipe bomb earlier, they busted down the door, slowly moved through here. There could be a sleeper on the left side right here as well. Always want to check that out, especially if bots might move over into that area. Look around for copper. Now when it comes to the toolkit, we'll be utilizing it on the minigun. Like I said, always look out for those sleepers. Could be around every corner. We'll be using the minigun strat. Generally there might be a sleeper on this one and the adjacent side. Always a good idea to look out for those. Now this mission is fairly frustrating, and without the help of other people and just trying to utilize the bots inside of this bathroom area, it's pretty much a gamble every single time. I generally don't like to use these cheese methods right here, but it's going to be the easiest way to just push on through this mission. And we've still got the maze mission, the next mission after this to deal with, and then T5 itself, so save yourself some struggle and possible failed run moments on this mission and just utilize this minigun until they finally fix these moments. I don't even know if this is one that they're actually going to patch. I feel like there's other ones that are worse than just utilizing this minigun right here. But at that point, we'll be able to take out all of the nodes, pull back here. None of the special infected can come in, but the common infected can squeeze past it, so you'll need to keep laying down the fire on those. Can be very frustrating. But once you're done with that, it's just take out the nodes, keep bum rushing back to the bathroom, hold out, clear everything out, and then rinse and repeat until you get that final node, and then be able to push your way onto the third mission. But on that note, we'll skip forward, get straight into the third mission now. Now on the third mission, Cabins by the Lake, I believe that's the name of it. I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to buy up that toolkit, pain meds, and pipe bomb. Now, I did end up having the upgrade for the quick slot item on this buy station. If you find it there, buy it up. If you can't afford pipe bombs or pain meds or toolkit, I'd arguably say just go ahead and buy that toolkit or buy that quick slot upgrade. It's going to be extremely beneficial for you later on when it comes to T5. You might as well waste that money right now, because a lot of times you'll find more than enough copper outside in this area. If, say, you can't afford buying up everything that you'll need for this mission, I'd say arguably you want the toolkit more than anything, and the pain meds, pipe bomb can come in handy here and there, but a lot of times for this mission specifically, it's not going to be the absolute necessary thing that you'll need. At the very end, you may need one. Can be helpful. Generally, always carry one all the way until the very finish. But there's more than a few things that we need to note about this mission. Now, obviously, sometimes you just hit a random door. Somehow the bullet pin just goes straight through things, and you'll be able to hold out inside of this area. This could be a good strat. There is a building on the left side a little bit further forward that does have a bit of copper in it. If it does have that alarm door, just hit that, run back to the safe room. You'll be able to hold out here very easily. Nothing's going to be coming from your right or your left. It's just straight in front of you. Funnel them in. Use those bots as the aim bot. And you'll notice again, Jim being Jim bot. just running out there, back and forth. No idea what it is he does. Well, we'll skip forward. There's a couple of strats you'll need to utilize when it comes to the very beginning of this mission, especially the boat. If you haven't seen this strat before, it's an interesting one. I've learned it from randoms online. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to start the boat. Now, since we're playing in solo, the bots just immediately get spawned on the boat. But at some point that boat will break and it'll start sinking, and if you're far enough back, they will spawn right behind you. Now, what happened for me was apparently the bots were just putting in work right here, because they survived for quite some time. They almost made it all the way across the across this lake. But once that breaks and once they spawn behind you, you'll be able to take out everything inside of the water. You'll take out all those special infected, and by the time you finish off these common infected and special infected, the boat on the right, there will be a special infected that randomly spawns right there. Take that out, and then you'll be able to cross without the possibility of taking damage or being on that boat when it breaks apart and being surrounded by special infected and common infected, taking a lot of damage possibly. You're already really slow when you're in that water, so this can be extremely helpful for you in just crossing without taking much damage and just being able to clear everything. But that being said, we've also got the possibility of a corruption card for a boss on this mission. Lucky enough, we had it for you. Not lucky for me, but lucky for you. We've got a nice little strat on how to take out the ogre before even leaving this area. But that being said, we'll skip forward. As soon as we cross over, I believe the ogre starts to spawn here in a second. I've already pushed off the dock, and what we're going to do is we're going to push back to the very starting area. Occasionally there will be a special infected that will spawn, so you'll need to take that out, especially if it is a spitter. We're already pretty slow when it comes to this water. But we'll be able to jump all the way across. The ogre's not moving that quick. And by the time we hit this dock over here, we'll be able to turn around, lay down some fire on that ogre. Now, what's crazy about this is the fact that if you push him back all this way and then you get him down to halfway health, he'll run away. You'll be able to push back across the river, and then he'll spawn again with that half health, and you'll be able to take him out before you get to those cabins inside of the woods where you need to find that battery. That can be very helpful for you, especially if you had a breaker or possibly an ogre as a corruption card for this mission. Being able to deal with them in a very easy to control environment, open space where you can avoid that damage very easily and just get him finished off as quick as possible instead of being stuck out in those cabins with special infected, common infected, alarm doors everywhere. I mean, it's a giant mess if you have that ogre later on. So being able to take him out this early at the very beginning without all those issues being a possibility, it's just going to help you finish this mission a lot easier. Just going to go a lot smoother. Give us that ability to go through each one of those cabins, gather up those copper and some of those weapon attachments or cards, and get to that toolkit room. Now, as you'll see, he's disappeared. We'll skip forward, and straight away, I was kind of shocked by it. He spawned again, so we're going straight back across. We'll be able to lay down some more fire. He kind of pushes me a bit further back, tags me a little bit. He's got that auto aim, or he's got that aimbot when it comes to that meat blob. Very frustrating. But you'll be able to finish him off, and we won't have to deal with him. Now, by the time you get the battery and you're ready to roll, it's time to just book it on through. Non-stop, if you got one pipe bomb, it's going to be extremely helpful. Just throw it behind you. Arguably, you don't actually need it, but it could be beneficial if you possibly have more than a few of those common infected tagging right behind you. But by the time we get up here, you're going to need to just book it. Push through everything. Doesn't matter what it is. Just go on through. Don't even worry about anything. Don't worry about clearing anything. Just get straight into that safe room. Promise you, sometimes there could be 4 to 5 of those reekers, exploders. Just book it on through them. Don't even worry about them. Just try and move your way around them. Don't phase check them. But unless they're in that little walkway like you saw right there. But if you can just push on through, you're going to make it very easily with minimal damage taken. Now, when it comes to garden party, this is going to be no cakewalk right here. Sometimes it can be an enjoyable mission for me, but this was not one of those. I ended up having one of the worst corruption cards on this mission, and ended up having a breaker. I've actually not seen this before. I don't remember ever having a breaker on this mission. Quite a wild one, but we've got the strat in order to make it through in case you do have that happen. Now, this was not an easy mission. I think I literally made it by 1 health at the very end, and I was utilizing a bot at the same point. But we'll give you most of the strats and tips on how to make it on through. But we'll skip forward as you make it through this first portion. Obviously, just take it slow. Maybe, I tried to hit the birds right there. Didn't work out. You can run back to that safe room and just hold out there if you hit any birds out here or snitches. But generally, you'll be looking for any type of loot, copper, clearing things out, just moving through slow, getting as much as you can. I did end up getting one of the cards early as well from this. And at the same point, as soon as I bought it, somehow it turned into a different card when I came back to it later on that I could buy. Didn't know that the vendor cards that are randomly placed around that aren't the basic cards could do that. Maybe that's a new thing. I haven't really looked at it before. But apparently you could buy up another card right after that if you've got more copper. Now right here is when Breaker comes down, and I was not expecting this. Bit of a panic moment right here, but when we're up on these walkways, he will eventually get up here, but at the same time it's really hard for him to move. He can't jump from across. We've got 2 tall boys that are completely armored as well. I mean, this couldn't have gone any more wrong than I could possibly imagine, and it just keeps getting worse. I mean, a spitter comes out of nowhere. Thank God we've got that inspiring sacrifice to gain a little bit more of that health back. But as you notice, the breaker gets stuck quite easily on this. So essentially what you want to focus in on is taking out those special infected, some of those common infected as well. I believe I did end up having to use a pipe bomb in order to keep some of these common infected off me. But if you can, clear them out and then start dealing damage to that breaker. I was able to kind of kite him around. You could push on through that storm, but lucky enough I had the Holly bot. She was kiting the breaker there for a moment. He starts to yell out, trying to call that horde again. I think I was able to get Jim up as well in that moment. That way I had a little bit more damage being able to apply to that breaker. But as you'll notice with the damage cards we already have, we're not exactly melting him, immensely fast, but we're getting him down. And this small bit of storm right here, you'll be able to move through this, take as minimal as damage as possible. But be sure to take out those special infected first. Another Jim bot moment. He just jumps over the railing, goes straight for the crusher. I tell you right now, I'll never understand what is wrong with that bot. That's happened more than a few times. Good Lord. But at that same point, we want to take out that crusher as quickly as possible. We don't want to get stuck between that crusher and that breaker, because we can kite the breaker very easily. He's kind of slow, a lot slower than some of those tall boys. But at this point, you'll notice we're immediately able to just melt them on down. Now, sadly enough, we've got 2 bots down, but I did have 2 defibs out in that area before we got in here in some of those greenhouses. That's why it's a good idea to go slowly through there, open up those boxes. You may have some things that could benefit you later on. Now that being said, Jimbot is Jimbot. I will say this more and more. Just re-roll at the very first mission. Do not take Jim all the way through with you. He is going to die ridiculous amount of times. Constantly be somebody you're going to have to pull off the walls. He's just going to be one of those bots that's just consistently gone. Gone more than any other bot. Don't know what it is. Very frustrating. But from this point, we'll skip forward. Essentially, all we'll have to do is stay up on these walkways. Common infected will only come from one side, depending on what side you're on. Sometimes they will have a few come through on that right side, but if you're fairly closely to one of these walkway or one of these stairs going up, they will just consistently pour in through that one stairwell. That's going to be beneficial for you, considering the bots. They're going to be those auto turrets, be able to take everything out. As you'll notice, Jim's already dead again. I did defib him. That is one of the most irritating portions of it. He jumped down there and went straight into a special infected's face yet again. Jim, for whatever reason on these walkways, will jump down every single time. He'll jump over that railing and get straight into a special infected face. Frustrating. Can't explain it enough. But we'll skip forward now. That's essentially all you'll need to do. You'll just take out the special infected as quick as possible and just keep moving forward. Now, once we get to that final node, we'll be able to push out. Now, Hoffman did die. I can't remember what exactly happened. Hoffman's not the worst bot in the world. He does give you pain pills, similar to how Mom will do, but Mom has better benefit when it comes to that passive team ability. Hoffman may be able to get kills and get some ammo drop, but there are already infinite ammo drops when it comes to these bots, so that's not going to be a huge help. Now, as you'll notice, I have no healing accessories right now. We're already down to 33 health. Taking on that breaker was hugely detrimental to the team. We lost downs from it. We were down bad when it came to the health. We had to immediately use things. It disrupted the entire mission. Sadly enough, there's no way for us to completely restart from this point. There's no way for us to reset that corruption card. If you come in and you feel like you can't face that breaker, you may have to just reset the whole run, sadly enough. But if you can make it, more than likely you'll be able to push on. Now, I went running back because I believed there was more. That's the moment where I noticed you could possibly get a different card from that. Don't know how that happened, but apparently that's a thing. But I was able to find one pain pill from earlier on. Another reason why you'd want to keep searching through that area. Make sure all the boxes are open. You could push back and possibly have something for later on that could be beneficial for you. Now, those pain pills weren't exactly the best thing in the world for me, but we're going to push forward here. Definitely dealing with a lot of special infected. Slowly pushing forward. We barely have any health. I've already used my pain pills by this point. We've already dealt with more than a few special infected. Tall boys were the corruption card for us on this one, and it was a painful one. But going forward, when it comes to the maze, honestly, I went slow and steady through this, and you know, it can help some people, but the longer you're in this maze, the more special infected are going to spawn on you, start pushing on you, and you're going to have to deal with a lot of common infected. It feels like if you don't run forward, there's going to be more common infected spawning as well. Some of these moments or some of these walkways, obviously, you'll have to stand still for a moment, kind of hold your ground, bat back some of those common infected, and then, or take them out and then move forward. But generally, even on my previous nightmare runs prior to the December update, I just sped through this, just moving as fast as possible, and it seemed to be the best bet for me. Just keep running on through, take out some of those common infected as you make your way through as well. But if you take it slow, you'll notice coming up soon, we were taking a little bit of damage. We're still maintaining, but soon enough, I was going to use a grenade on those birds, but we ended up having to use it over here. I did end up taking out a lot of these, and then we hit the birds, and it was just down right there. Now we come to the most clutch play I've probably ever made inside of Back 4 Blood. Somehow this is where that strat of just pushing on through seems to be the best bet. So immediately I'm able to just make it on through. I'm able to just hit everything, just run as fast as possible. We've got 3 health right now. We've got that sleeper right there. Somehow the stalker has not grabbed me just yet. He is about to get ready to. We're able to get that done. Lucky enough, the door's open for me, pushing on through. Now, generally, this is not how this will go. If you just run on through there, make sure that you don't go slow. Try to move as quick as possible. Obviously, take out those common infected when they come in front of you. Make sure there's nothing tagging behind you, but more than likely you'll have all the bots alive by the time you end that node portion of the mission, and that's going to be a huge benefit for you. They'll be able to kite some of those common infected, help you take out some of those as well. More than likely you have more health than I did. I just got taken by surprise with that breaker, but now that you know the strat on how to make it through that, It should help you out a little bit. You may take a little bit of damage, but at the same time, like I said before, try to avoid Gembot. Going to be a very painful experience if you keep him going forward, but at that same note, if you just speed run through that maze and you get to that final portion, you'll be able to take everything out from that top portion up on top where that next building is, where the safe room is inside. There'll also be the toolkit room in there as well. I was not able to get the copper and attachments and things of that nature from that area. It did end up hurting me a little bit when it came to the next mission, but I was still able to afford most of the things that I needed in order to complete the next mission. Now, that being said, if you have that same moment where you have to just bum rush on in, you've got special infected, and you're the only one alive after that maze, just get on into that safe room. More than likely, hopefully, you've got a burn card for the next mission for an extra continue, and that'll give you a little bit more copper the next time around if you fail the first time on T5. But at that same point, you'll more than likely still have enough of that copper saved up from the previous mission and a little bit from earlier on in this mission that we've gathered up in order to push on to the next one, fully capable. But now, let's move into T5. Alright guys, when it comes to the T5 mission, essentially what we're going to need to buy up is at least 4 barbed wire. No, only 4 barbed wire. You don't need any more than 4. We're going to have just 4 barbed wire. Trust me, don't waste the extra copper on that. If anything, you're going to want at least 4 of the pain meds as well, especially since we have that NUMB ability. We're more than likely going to need it, but 4 barbed wire is all we're going to need, and ideally 6 pipe bombs. Now, if you can't get quite 6 pipe bombs, it's not going to be a worry. I was able to do this with only 4. I overbought when it came to barbed wire, ended up needing more pipe bombs than I needed the barbed wire. The barbed wire is extremely helpful, but since we've got it upgraded already, only 4 for the staircase inside the middle, it's going to be necessary for us to get this done. Now, like I said before, the bots aren't going to be extremely helpful on this mission. They'll do a bit here and there, especially in the beginning, kind of helping to corral some of that common infected and special infected, but before long, they're going to be dropping out fairly quickly. And it's going to be a race to the finish when it comes to this mission. You're going to be moving all over this house, and you're going to want to immediately push into the basement of the building and pull all the boxes out of there. Now, we'll get into it. We'll show you the strat. We'll go fairly quickly with this. But in this moment, you'll have all this stuff, and it's not like with multiplayer where, you can leave one person up here and then be able to pull everything to the door. You're going to need to do all of this as soon as you, or you're going to need to pull all this over to that front door before that guy runs down and opens up the door. This can be a time crunch right here. Now, me personally, I put additional pipe bombs and pain meds inside of the back of the truck so I could grab it as I dropped off some of the boxes in the back of that truck, and then dropped all the barbed wire in front of that front door. Now, I did end up placing some of the jerry cans around the building. I thought I was going to be able to utilize the stamina that we have in order to move around the house. Not going to work out for us. We don't have enough stamina for that. Not with this build anyways. And what you're going to want to do is kind of utilize the barbed wired stairs in the middle as your kind of buffer zone for all those common infected and special infected, and then just keep looping from top of the house, going through the front door and up those stairs to slow everything else that's going to be right behind you. Now, in this gameplay footage here, I did buy up too much of the barbed wire, and it was problematic for me. I possibly almost cost a run with this. I did this a bit slow, and having too much of the barbed wire can eat up a lot of time in that very beginning. By the time I get to the last barbed wire, the door's already open, the common and special infected are already spilling in. It was almost a bad run right there. Now, that being said, if you only have 4 of them, you're going to easily be able to pull everything over. You're going to have more than enough space for this. If I had additional quick slot space, this could have helped, but at the same time, we're only going to need 4 of them. You'll notice right now, I'm going back. I tried to grab it. It's not grabbing it for whatever reason. Next thing you know, I'm getting surrounded by everything. I'm taking a lot of damage here. I'm already down to 67. Oh, 47. Yeah, it's getting worse. I had to end up wasting the grenade right there and then popping a pain pill immediately. Not very beneficial for us. Sometimes there will be some pain pills inside of the house, though, that can be very helpful. But essentially, this is the strat we're going to do. We're going to put 2 on the staircase going up, and then we're going to put 2 in the middle of the staircase. Now, I had 6 right here. Bit overkill. Trust me, you don't need that much. All you're going to need are those 4 going 2 up the stairs and then 2 on the middle portion of the stairs. Anything beyond that point or any more added to the middle isn't actually going to be that beneficial for you. By that point, I'd already gotten 3 down. Immediately, we're going into the basement because these windows will get broken into by those common infected. They'll start filtering through the entire house from different angles that are boarded up at this time. So you kind of want to get down there immediately while everything is only getting funneled through the front door. Find all the boxes you can, pull them next to those stairs. That way you can one by one move them all the way up instead of wasting a lot of time by going all the way up the stairs, up onto that second story, dropping them off, and then coming down. You can get caught up by a lot in the middle of that moment. And be sure to look over everything. If you do have time, grab up some of those healing items, open up some of those boxes, but I would say it's not absolutely necessary. This is one of those moments, again, where GemBot is not doing anything but crouching in front of common infected. Very frustrating. For whatever reason, Hoffman decides to pick him up, and he pretty much goes down immediately right after that. Yeah, it's almost, yep. It's going to happen any minute now. But again, this is one of those moments you want to make sure that you've checked all angles down there, but as quickly as possible, jump over the side railing of that, and then just start dropping the boxes up there. Take out any of those special infected waiting on you. You definitely don't want to jump down before any of that is cleared out. You don't want to get caught up by a spitter as well. It's going to slow you down harshly, and you won't make it from that point going forward. Now we'll skip forward a little bit. So I deal with special infected right here. You notice we've slowed the recur quite a bit. Most of the common infected are at this point just getting stopped by Hoffman, just constantly attacking him. I was able to pick him up. This is another dumb play that I made. I shouldn't have even done that. I should have just went downstairs while they were attacking him down on the ground, grabbed the rest of the boxes. But by this point, I start looking around upstairs, kind of giving myself some breathing room. I know there's going to be common infected piling up. Hoffman's going to be taking them out at the stairwell. So that's why it's a good idea to kind of go through the basement initially. If you have some bots alive, they'll start taking everything out on the staircase, and you got a moment to breathe upstairs and kind of look around before you need to go to the ground floor and possibly get some of those boxes. Now, one strat you could utilize by a certain point, if you get these barbed wire all along the staircase, you could wait up here until the time where they show you where each box is. After a certain amount of time, the boxes will just be identified for you. They'll show you the location and like a little ping on top of it, and then you'll be able to go grab them. But you essentially want to get them done before they start piling through everything. But one thing to note about the upstairs, if you stay on this right side, they'll only come up this stairwell. There is another stairwell in the back left portion of the house that will get upstairs, and if you start hanging around that area, they'll start funneling through that area. We don't have any barbed wire over there. That can be very problematic for us. They're going to overwhelm us fairly quickly and overwhelm the bots as well if you're utilizing that strat to kind of hold out on the staircase with the bots until they all show up. Essentially what I was doing was just trying to see if I could clear enough to finally have a moment to go downstairs, but it seems it's pretty much endless. At this point, this is when I start just kind of looting the rest of the house. At this point, I noticed that I've already got 4 of the boxes right there. There's only 2 left. And I'm pretty sure the last 2 were at the very bottom of the house. I had found 3 down below. Lucky enough, when it comes to solos, we only have to ship out 6 of these boxes. Going to be very beneficial for us. But what you'll do is just jump through that window, jump down onto that box so you don't take any of that fall damage, grab up anything you need. And this is where those moments come in where you want 6 pipe bombs ideally. That way, each time you jump through there, you'll be able to throw a pipe bomb, clear out the common infected, and then clearly move through the front door, make it up to these barbed wire. Any common infected that will spawn behind that will get slowed down by that barbed wire, and you'll pretty much rinse and repeat when it comes to that pipe bomb. Drop down, drop the box inside of the back of the truck, and be able to move forward. Now by this point, we're pretty low on health. Things aren't looking the best, but we're still making do with what we've got. I've only got 4 of those pipe bombs, and in this moment, I believe there was one of these that I didn't throw a pipe bomb because I knew I only had 2 left. Grabbed up another one of those barbed wire, hadn't even laid it down, but you'll notice even with just 3 of the barbed wire, we were doing perfectly fine. You could arguably get this done with only 3 barbed wire, but at the same time, 4 is going to be that best bet in my opinion if you have the copper for it. If you feel like you need more pipe bombs than 6, or if you can only afford 6 and 3 of the barbed wire, that's a good strat to take on as well. By this point, I'm just kind of racing in thought, just moving it on in. Put the last one in. I've only got 2 of the pipe bomb left. I think, nope, not yet. We haven't got that one where I finally didn't utilize it. You will be able to make it if you do run out of pipe bombs. The ogre, for luck on my part, has just moved to the back of the house. I'm not exactly sure why. Don't exactly know how to pull him to that back of the house, but he's just whining back there. Lucky enough, I did have to use a continue on this mission, and the ogre will snipe you fairly often. Can be very frustrating. We did not have to take him out. I think if you're standing in that top portion of the house on that right side, he may just get kited over there. That may be one of the strats that you can utilize. Just kind of hold up on this top right portion, and he'll move over to that angle and not move out from there. But as you'll notice, we didn't utilize a pipe bomb on that run, I believe, actually. And perfectly all fine, but now we're on to the last one. We're coming on in. We're going to get those last common infected dealt with, and we've only got 1 more box. We're clear. We're ready to go. We've got more than enough health. We've utilized all of the pain pills by this point, except for 1, actually. And that's going to be the finish right there. Now, it's not going to be an easy mission. I definitely had to utilize 2 continues on this mission before I finally got that strat down. The boxes will spawn in random locations. Sometimes they will be on the ground floor, but I got lucky in that moment. All 3 were on the basement level and on the top floor. Was able to move them out fairly quickly, but again, you really want to go for that basement immediately. Gather up all those boxes, lay them next to the stairs, and then start moving them one by one. And hopefully you've got the bots that are going to help you. You don't have Gem Bot, which is going to be an absolute nightmare for you. If you can re-roll that in the beginning, by all means, just keep re-rolling until you get everyone but Jim. He's going to just die every single time. He's going to bug out on certain moments. I've even had a moment where I pulled him off a wall and he just ran until he teleported back to me. I couldn't believe it. Don't even know what was going on. Never seen it happen with any other bot. You know, I've had some people tell me that, you know, it happens with all the bots. No, the things that Gem Bot does, no other bot truly does all the time, as much as he does. It is broken beyond belief. But that being said, that's going to be the end of part 1 for the Act 3 Solo Nightmare Guide. Hopefully this has helped you. Obviously it could help you as well when it comes to possibly getting some strats together for moving into the multiplayer section. If you're not looking to do it solo, but you still just want to have those tips and tricks to be able to move through fairly easily. Especially that one with the 3rd mission where we can pull the ogre across that lake can be very beneficial even for people inside of the multiplayer or playing with other people. Just getting that ogre down early on, extremely helpful for the entire team. And gives you a little bit more copper when pushing on to that next mission. With that being said, if you'd like to see the part 2 live, obviously hit that link in the description. Follow me over at Twitch. We'll be live streaming that tomorrow, and we'll have part 2 coming out tomorrow morning. More than likely, it's going to be a lot easier than this first portion. I know a lot of people will probably get hung up on a couple of these missions. Sadly enough, we couldn't make it as easy as possible, and it's still going to be nightmare, but with some of these strats, you should make it on through. With this deck, you should make it on through as well. If you want to make some changes to it, by all means, have at it, move things around, but I guarantee you're going to need that mobility for sure and that copper supply in order to make it through to the T5 mission successfully. But on that note, hope you guys have enjoyed, and have a good one.